Good morning, students. Today we will learn about histology of thyroid gland. Points to be covered in histology of thyroid gland, they are: number 1, introduction; number 2, microscopic features; then follicular cells; then about C cells; next, synthesis of thyroid hormone; and lastly, clinical implication related with this histology of thyroid gland. First we will see introduction of the histology of thyroid gland. In that, as I told you earlier in previous class, that there are three types of the endocrine gland present in our body. In that, this thyroid gland comes under this first category, that is, it is a entirely endocrine in function. This means that this gland is completely separate gland which has the endocrine function. Then next thing, where this gland is present, that is the position or location of this gland. Here you can see the diagram or the position of the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is a bilobed structure. This one, bilobed structure or bilobed gland. Each lobe is situated on the either side of the trachea. This is trachea. Either side of the trachea, below larynx. This is larynx. Below larynx and in the lower neck. So this thyroid gland is bilobed gland present in the neck, lower part of the neck. The two lobes of this thyroid gland, they are connected with each other by a isthmus. This center part is called as isthmus in front of the trachea. This is trachea where this gland is present. So in this region you will get, in the region of the neck, you will get this gland, that is the thyroid gland. The peculiarity of the thyroid gland is that this is the only gland in our body that stores its secretion extracellularly. Means you know that all secretion, whatever secreted by any cell of our body, it stores their secretion inside the cell. But here this thyroid gland stores its secretion extracellularly. Very interesting and very important. After knowing the introduction, we will see about the microscopic features of the thyroid gland. In microscopic features means when we see thyroid gland under microscope, we will see the following structure, that is capsule, then follicles present in the gland, then colloid, stroma and C cells or parafollicular cells. All this we will see one by one. Now before that, microscopic features, to see that, we will stain this gland or the slide. We will see the slide stained by regular H&E staining, that you know. First is capsule. The thyroid gland is covered by a dense irregular connective tissue capsule derived from the deep cervical fascia. Parathyroid glands are embedded within this capsule only. Septa extending into the gland from the capsule divided into the lobules. On microscopic examination, each lobule is seen to be made up of aggregation of follicles. This you can see, this is the follicle, single follicle, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. All these are follicles. These follicles, they are formed in the lobules. So the capsule covering this thyroid gland or each lobe of the thyroid gland send a septa. These are the septa. This septa divides this lobule into different follicular cells. These are the follicles, different follicles that you can see. Now, after knowing about the follicles, each follicle contains follicular cells. Now, when you see, focus each follicle, you can see that bluish purple color at the border. You can see the cells. These are called as follicular cell. This follicular cell rests on the basement membrane. The follicle is filled with homogeneous material, this one, homogeneous material called colloid. This is called as colloid, which appears pink in hematoxylin and eosin stain secretions or sections. The spaces between the follicle, this spaces between the follicles, they are filled by a stroma made up of delicate connective tissue with numerous capillaries and lymphatics. The capillaries lie in close contact with the walls of the follicles. So this is about the follicles, follicular cells and colloid. Now, in between the follicles as well as in between the follicular cell and basement membrane, we will see the different cell from the follicular cell. This different category of cell is called as C cell or parafollicular cells. C cells or parafollicular cells. These cells, they intervene between the basement membrane and follicular cells, as well as they lies in between the follicular cells. These C cells are very important functionally and different from the follicular cells that we'll see in the next slides in detail. Now about follicular cells. These follicular cells, they are very special in our body because they change in shape of cells according to level of activity. Now, any organ of our body, the cells, their shape is same, they are constant. But here in thyroid gland, you can see that these cells, they change in shape or they change their shape according to the level of activity. You can see here. These three types are there. According to the activity, the change in shape of the cells you can see. This is first one is highly active, second moderately active, third one is inactive. Now, what is this? First thing is that highly active. In highly active follicle, the cells, they are lined by the follicular cells, they are lined by columnar epithelium. They are lined by simple columnar epithelium. And when epithelium is columnar, the colloid is scanty, very rare in highly active follicular cell. The next part is the moderately active. When the follicles are moderately active, the cells or this follicle is lined by cuboidal epithelium. This is cuboidal epithelium with moderate amount of colloid. And when follicle is inactive, not working, resting phase, when follicle they are inactive, the epithelium or the cells present in this follicle, they changes their shape into this squamous epithelium with large amount of colloid. You can see here with large amount of colloid or abundant colloid. So different follicles show different level of activity. Then next thing about the ultramicroscopic picture of this follicular cell, or when you see this single follicular cell under electron microscope, what you will see that the follicular cell shows the presence of apical macrovilli. This is apical macrovilli with abundant granular endoplasmic reticulum. As you know that this follicular cell is having tremendous capacity to secrete the secretion. That's why this granular endoplasmic reticulum is very abundant. Then with prominent supranuclear Golgi complex. This one is supranuclear Golgi complex. Lysosomes, these lysosomes, microtubules and microfilaments, they are also present. The apical part of cell contain many secretory vacuoles. These secretory vacuoles, it is very important. So this is about the ultramicroscopic picture of the follicular cell. Now this follicular cell, the activity of this follicular cell is influenced by thyroid stimulating hormone, which is produced by hypophysis cerebri. So this activity is controlled by thyroid stimulating hormone. Now after this follicular cell, what it does, it secretes triiodothyronine, that is called as T3, and it secretes tetraiodothyronine, that is T4. Although T3 is 5 times more active than T4, but both of these T3 and T4 is secreted by each follicular cell, which is very important, which control the metabolic activity of our body. That's why this secretion is very important. About C cells, they are also called as clear cells and parafollicular cells also. These C cells, they lies between follicular cells and basement membrane. Also, they lies between adjoining follicular cells. The C cells, the electron microscopic picture when you see about each C cells, it contain well developed granular endoplasmic reticulum, then Golgi complex, numerous mitochondria and membrane bound secretory vacuoles. Then what it secretes? The C cell secretes hormone calcitonin. Very important. This hormone has got action opposite to that of the parathyroid hormone on calcium metabolism. That's why this hormone is very important. That is called as calcitonin. Now it mainly lowers the blood calcium level. The C cell lowers the blood calcium level when serum calcium level is high. Then now how it happens? This C cell suppresses the release of calcium ion from the bone, and you know that this calcium ion is released by the osteoclast, the cells present in the bone, that is osteoclast. So what does this function of the C cells? C cells uh, achieve this function by suppressing bone reabsorption, which is done by the osteoclast. So the function of the calcitonin is that it lowers the blood calcium level when calcium level is high. That is the main function of the calcitonin or the C cells. Next step is we learn about synthesis of thyroid hormone. Now up till now we learn about what are the follicular cells, what is follicle, what are the follicular cells, then what is the C cell. Then now we'll see the most important part of the histology of thyroid gland, that is synthesis of thyroid hormone. Now this synthesis of thyroid hormone is regulated by iodine release or iodine level. Then it is regulated by TSH as binding as well as the TSH releasing factor or receptors. Now this synthesis of thyroid hormone is done in 4 steps, following 4 steps. Which are these 4 steps? First one is synthesis of thyroglobulin first happens, then uptake of circulating iodine. Next step is activation of iodine, and last step is iodinization and release of thyroid hormone. Now we learn this synthesis of thyroid hormone in this flow chart, starting with first stage, that is synthesis of thyroglobulin. This synthesis of thyroglobulin, what is this? The thyroglobulin, the synthesis of thyroglobulin in follicular cells. The synthesis of thyroglobulin takes place in the granular endoplasmic reticulum and is packed into the secretory vacuoles, in the Golgi complex. The vacuoles travel to the luminal surface where they release thyroglobulin into the follicular cavity by exocytosis. Now at the same time, the second thing happens related with the follicular cell, that is about the circulating iodine. Now through the capillaries near the follicles, capillaries are there. From the capillaries, this circulating iodine is taken up by the follicular cells. Then it is acted upon by the thyroid peroxidase enzyme. Then next step is that after this the oxidation of iodine takes place. when oxidation of iodine takes place, this release of iodine in colloid, that is the next step. When it happens, oxidation of iodine, after that the thyroglobulin is also produced in the follicle. So in follicle, thyroglobulin as well as iodine is there. Both are released by exocytosis into the follicular lumen, and then the condition is called as iodinization of the thyroglobulin, and this is nothing but colloid. That's why the release of iodine in colloid, it is called as release of iodine in colloid, because thyroglobulin when added with the iodine, that is called as iodinization of the thyroglobulin. Now next stage is that the after this the next stage is the formation of the monoiodothyronine and diiodothyronine. This monoiodothyronine, when one molecule of iodine combined with the thyroglobulin, then it is called as monoiodothyronine. When two iodine molecule combine with the thyroglobulin, then the formation is diiodothyronine. So after this formation, oxidative coupling takes place. This all happens in the follicular cavity. When coupling takes place, oxidative coupling takes place, the next process is this monoiodothyronine plus diiodothyronine. When it combines, it forms triiodothyronine. When diiodothyronine with another diiodothyronine combines, then it is the formation of the tetraiodothyronine. So that is only called as T3 and T4. So T3 and T4, when it is produced in the follicular cavity in the colloid, then the reabsorption of colloid by endocytosis, means when it produces T3 and T4 in the follicular cavity, after this there is a reabsorption of this colloid takes place by same follicular cells, and that is by endocytosis. After reabsorption, the lysosomal proteases, this enzyme acts upon the T3 and T4, because whatever T3 and T4 is produced in the follicular cavity, they are in the inactive form. When it is taken up by the follicular cell, it is acted upon by the lysosomal protease enzyme. Then only they become active and they are ready to release into the circulation. So release of T3 and T4 in circulation takes place. So here one fact is there, T4 is more abundant than T3, means quantity of T4 is more than T3, but the T3 acts more rapidly and more potent than T4. That is the difference between T3 and T4. Now circulation of T3 and T4 with thyroxine binding protein. Although this T3 and T4 is given out into the circulation when it becomes active in the this follicular cells, then also they doesn't only circulate, they combine with the thyroxine binding protein, then only it circulate in the body. So in this way, the this flow chart shows the synthesis and release of hormone, that is T3 and T4. So in short, when you summarize the synthesis of this thyroid hormone, in short you can see that first step is that thyroglobulin is produced in the follicular cells, and this is the special protein. At the same time, this iodine, circulating iodine, is taken up by the follicular cell. Then oxidation of the iodine takes place. Then next step is that through thyroid peroxidase, the iodization of the thyroglobulin takes place, and this is released into the thyroid follicular lumen, and that is called as colloid. After this, next step is the formation of monoiodothyronine and diiodothyronine. After this, oxidative coupling of this takes place and formation of T3 and T4. Next step is that this T3 and T4 which is present in the colloid is taken up or reabsorbed by the follicular cells through a process that is called as endocytosis. After this, the lysosomal protease present in the follicular cells they release this hormone when it becomes active because of this lysosomal proteases release this hormone T3 and T4 into the circulation. So this is all about the flow chart which shows how it is synthesized, this thyroid hormone, and how it is released actively into the circulation. Next is clinical implication. Before going to the clinical implication of this histology of thyroid gland, you must know about the function of the thyroid gland. So what is the function of thyroid gland? As you know already, thyroid gland secretes T3, T4 and calcitonin hormone. T3, T4 hormone controls metabolic rate of our body. In fetal life and early childhood, thyroid hormone promotes CNS development and growth of our body. Then calcitonin lowers the blood calcium level by increasing calcium deposit in bone and inhibiting bone reabsorption by osteoclasts. So this is the function of the thyroid gland. Now coming to the clinical implication. Anything goes wrong with the thyroid function, the three major diseases will occur, that is hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism and Graves disease. So we'll see short about these three clinical conditions. First one is hyperthyroidism. The hyperthyroidism is also called as thyrotoxicosis. It is a hypermetabolic clinical condition where more amount of thyroid hormone is produced than normal, and this condition is more in female as compared to male. When this condition occurs due to many reasons, neoplastic or tumors are present in the thyroid gland, or so many infectious also because of infection, so many reasons are there, but whenever this hyperthyroidism occurs, there is an increased metabolic rate of the body, and that person having this disease, they are very lean, having more eating more than normal, drinking more than normal, drinking water, then so many activities or complete metabolic activity of the body, that is increase in the hyperthyroidism. Now next condition is hypothyroidism. Exactly opposite to the hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism is a condition where there is an inadequate production of the thyroid hormone. Here in hypothyroidism, the iodine role is very important. When less intake of iodine takes place, then also you will get this condition that is called as hypothyroidism. In this hypothyroidism, again, according to the age when this hypothyroidism occurs, this condition is divided into two. That is number one, cretinism. In cretinism, this is the congenital hypothyroidism where the development of the child is hampered. Because it is a congenital, it occurs in infant where the development of child is hampered. But when hypothyroidism occurs in adult, the condition is called as myxedema. In myxedema, you will get the weight of that person or the patient increase more than normal. That is one condition. So many conditions are there, but at least you must know the general conditions related with the hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. Then coming to the last one, that is Graves disease. What is this Graves disease? It is also called as primary hyperplasia or Bestow's disease. This is a disease which is autoimmune disease. It is also called as autoimmune disease where you will get goiter, then toxic goiter also. Various conditions are there where the eyeball also affected because of this Graves disease. So I think this is sufficient to know at this level for you about the clinical implication related with the histology of the thyroid gland. After completion of complete histology of thyroid gland, we will summarize this histology of thyroid gland in following points. Number one, thyroid gland is covered by connective tissue capsule. Septa arising from the capsule divide the gland into number of lobules. Then follicles lined by simple cuboidal epithelium ranges from squamous to low columnar with rounded nuclei. Human of follicle contain pink homogeneous colloid material that consists of thyroglobulin. In this, you must know the synthesis of thyroglobulin as well as synthesis of thyroid hormone. We have seen in the flow chart. So, next to this, C cells which are present in the relation to the follicle which secretes calcitonin that reduces blood calcium level. So, in short, when you want to summarize this topic, you must know about the connective tissue covering this lobe of this gland, each part of this thyroid gland, then forming the septa, follicles present in that. About follicle, you must know the follicular cells, their epithelium, then what is colloid, how this colloid contain the T3 and T4 which are the hormones, and how they are produced, synthesized and released into the blood. Then you must know about the C cells which secretes calcitonin, where these C cells are present and what is its function. Hope that you understood this topic very clearly. This is learning objectives. After completion of complete histology of thyroid gland, what are the learning objectives for you? That you must know about cells of the thyroid gland, that is follicular cells and C cells in detail. Then you must know about synthesis of hormone T3 and T4 hormone completely. Then you must know about function of the thyroid gland. So these things you must know. You can say it as a take home message also. Thank you. Meet you in the next class. Stay home, stay safe.